What is going to help you not feel guilty about setting your life on your terms is having agreements in place with the people that you care about, the people that might be impacted by some of these decisions. I would rather you get pre-agreement than think you needed to get permission. You're going to feel so much better. You're going to live the moment. You're going to be in the moment. Here we are. Happy New Year, guys. 2025. Wow. I thought we'd be in flying cars by now. I hope you had an amazing break. You might still be on a break. Most people sit around on New Year's Day and they're thinking about goals. They're thinking about resolutions, whether it be health resolutions, business resolutions, or what this year brings for us in terms of life, business, etc. Every prick with a pod is going to be releasing an episode today about how to set goals. I'm not that guy. Instead, I want to bring you in on something else, a little secret that I've learned and my own personal experience on how to do this properly so that we avoid just setting unrealistic targets, but facing burnout along the way. See, this is a concept that I call price and terms. Now, when I say price and terms, this comes from, the world of negotiations where amateurs negotiate price, the real pros negotiate price and terms. The reason why I believe this is so important as it relates to setting the goals for ourselves for the year is because I meet people every single week who are facing burnout, okay? So what I want to talk to you about today is how to not just set the goals, which is effectively the price, but how to set your terms for this year. How are you going to live intentionally? How are you going to design a life that you're going to actually love? How are you going to design the terms that attach to your goals so that you create what we call the work-life balance formula? Now, I'm not sure what your views are on work-life balance. I personally think there is no such thing. You can at me about that. But I think it is important that we recognize a bunch of different things. And I'm going to outlay 7 things that I want you to think about, 7 things that will help you understand and define your terms so that this time next year, we're not just celebrating the goals that you hit, but the fact that you did it on your terms. So all of these things I'm going to outlay in this episode. By the end of this episode, you're going to feel so much more in charge of your life. You're going to feel so much more in control of your life. And you're going to get more excited about the goals that you're about to smash because, and here's the central premise, everything in life is either by design or by default. Let's get started. Now, like I said, in the academy, we get people knocking on our doors every single week and they come to us and they've got a business, right? It's doing okay. It might be a little bit stuck. Doesn't matter if it's doing like $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. What is common amongst everyone that we meet is that they've got their targets and they've got their businesses, and sometimes their businesses have grown, but they're no more happier. Why? Underpinning these emotions is the fact that they haven't built it on their terms. They haven't defined their terms, okay? So that's what this episode is about, is helping you define your terms so that the goals that you hit, you're going to feel so much more excited about. And it's because, as Frank Sinatra said, you did it your way. So this isn't about should, right? I want to take should as a word out of the equation. And this isn't about what I want, because what I want is going to be different to what you want. This is about you guys. This is about you living your life the way that you designed it, because ultimately it's your fucking life, okay? This is about what you want. So we've gone through the concept of price and terms. 76% of owners in our academy have experienced burnout. So the point of this episode is to help you avoid that. Because here's one big nugget that I want you to grab onto, okay? Famous Peter Drucker quote. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So let's decide on what this is. The work-life balance thing is an absolute fucking myth, right? But I'm going to run you through 7 different things, 7 different ideas that I want you to think about that's going to help you identify what your terms are. The first one is this. It's okay to have seasons. Sometimes in business, you have growth seasons. Sometimes you have seasons where you can enjoy things a little bit more. Sometimes you have seasons where, I don't know, maybe your manager quit and for the next 3 months, you know that you just need to get into the business a bit more again, find out what they have or haven't been doing properly, and ultimately improve things so that on the way back out, when you hire the next manager, you can bring the next manager back in, the place is better. We call that being anti-fragile. It's a concept that came out of economics, but it's moved into psychology now where, in the economic world, they identified some economies can go through different periods of adversity, whether they be post-war, post-depression, post-recession, and some economies are resilient, meaning they come back to where they were before they went into that period of adversity. Turns out that resilience is good, but there is a cost to being resilient. There's a cost to bouncing back to where it was in the past, and eventually that can't sustain. Some economies, though, they come back better. That's what psychology is now terming anti-fragile. What I would encourage you to think about is, firstly, it's okay to have seasons. If you're kicking stones because your manager quit and you're back in the business right now, you haven't failed. Just consider it a season, but consider how you can turn this moment into a moment where you can become anti-fragile in your business. To learn from this, build playbooks on the way back out, so by the next time you bring in your manager, it's actually better. So many times our owners, our $1 million owners, our $500,000 owners, our $2 million owners, when they go back in their business because they have to go through a season of that because their manager quit or their general manager quit, things actually get better. And you know what's scary? Well, not scary, but what's also common is the owners actually enjoy it again. I spoke to someone yesterday who, is running a $3 million, multi-studio portfolio. And he called me the other day and he said he's just sacked his general manager who's been in there for 1 year. And he goes, I'm going to be honest with you, Doze. I've been depressed for the last 12 months. I've put on 10 kilos and I had this cyst growing on my back. And I felt like that general manager was trying to kind of kick me out of the business, trying to move me away from the business. But the business numbers have been going backwards for the last 12 months. And so they come to a point where they have to have that conversation. So his name's Tim. So Tim said, now that I've been back in the business, I'm happy again. I love my business again. The numbers have turned around and that cyst on my back is almost disappeared. And he goes, I'm on track with my training. I'm eating better. I'm not drinking anymore. All these things have improved. And I said, Timmy, mate, welcome to this new season. So the first thing is to understand that it's okay to go through seasons. Nothing's forever. It's just for now. And it's not good and it's not bad. It just is. But what I encourage you to think about is how can you use this moment to become anti-fragile on the backside of this, okay? So you need to understand where your rhythms are. And when you go through seasons of needing to slow down and re-energize, okay? We talk about there's no such thing as overtraining, it's under recovery. Now, recovery, if you're going through big growth periods in your business, maybe 2025 is going to be a big growth period for your business. I'm going to ask you to make sure that you schedule in your seasons of recovery. It's not the fucking weekend, okay? If you're really pushing, balls to the wall, half of Sunday is not recovery. Cashing in your annual leave once or twice a year to escape from the chaos that is your business is not recovery. So I want you to think about how you can schedule in actual recovery times where you can unplug, you can get into a season of, really thinking about your business. Maybe you need to get into altitude. So for me, I actually 3 times a year, and it's already scheduled in with my wife and my family, right? 3 times a year, I disappear. And I go for 3 nights away. I do my solo retreats and I fucking stare at the wall and I re-energize. The more and more I'm learning about myself, particularly since the heart attack, the more and more I need deep solo time. Maybe it's a bit of the PTSD from the heart attack. Maybe it's just a bit of me understanding myself. Maybe it's a bit of me getting older. But everything that has happened in Geronimo, and certainly then for my clients, has come off the back of me disappearing for 2 or 3 days, really re-energizing, doing all the things that energize me back up again, deep. I mean, deep. And then that altitude brings in new level of thinking, new ideas start to spark again. And we get out of that fight or flight and we move into that deep subconscious where we can create again, where we can become abundant and we can wonder, we can imagine, we can be really creative in that level. So I would encourage you to think about that. Okay. So the first thing is it's okay to have seasons. Think of it as seasons. The second thing is I want you to audit your schedule and your time. A $1 million business is not built on doing $10 tasks. I want you to hear that again. A $1 million business is not built on doing $10 tasks. Small businesses stay small because you don't value your time. So what I would encourage you to do is think about tracking your time. Now, I don't care if it's every 15 minutes you write things down or you use a tracking software like Rise or something like that, or you just look at your calendar at the end of the week and you look at the meetings that you're in and you're like, okay, which of these meetings did I really not need to be in? Or maybe it's you lean into that constraint that you might feel throughout the week, that frustration that you feel as entrepreneurs. Don't ignore it, dude. Lean into it. Write all those frustrations down. Audit your schedule and time. What I would love you to do is everything that you could basically get a low-level admin person to do, who love doing it, by the way, and probably do it better than you. This is part of the terms, how you're spending your time. But also, it's not just the time that you are spending. What aren't you doing? So for things that you absolutely love, you just don't get to do anymore Because if you've filled your calendar full of shit, the busy stuff, I want you to lean into that as well. So in the academy, we do like spot calendar reviews where I go, all right, share screen, show me your calendar. And I should be able to see what your priorities are, what you care about by what's on your calendar. And the number one reason why small businesses stay stuck is because they're prioritizing the wrong things. So I want you to audit your schedule and your time. What are you doing? 80% of your calendar should align to the goals that you're about to set this year of what's important to you, your absolute priorities, both at work, at home, health, wealth, like what lights you up, the adventure, like bring adventure back in your life, like all the things that you care about in your life, it should be in your calendar. If I bump into you on the street and I go, pop quiz, dude, show me your calendar, I should be able to go, fuck, you really enjoy mountain biking, you really love dancing, you love singing, you love doing some marketing to make some sales, and you love, hanging out with the kids. Awesome. What it shouldn't be is I'm looking at a clear calendar of nothing in your calendar, right? And then the real talk is it's because you're bouncing around in your car doing errands, right? Doing errands or doing your emails at 9:30 at night because, during the day you just got, it was just firefighting all day long. This is your terms now. I want you to set terms. So the number 3, so if number 1 is okay to have seasons, number 2 is audit your schedule. Number 3 is everyone's going to write a to-do list this year. I'm going to be the guy that tell you, write the not to-do list. Okay? Write the not to-do list. This is now we're going to set your terms and I'm giving you full permission. Okay? Because I'm going to get to the guilt in a second because I know you're already starting to feel guilty. In 2025, I'm going to ask you to decide what your terms are this year, starting with what you don't want to do anymore and fucking celebrate it, man. Celebrate it. Remember, everyone's going to have a to-do list. I want you to have a not to-do list. So on that not to-do list, put things on that list. From the second step where you audited your time and you audited your schedule and you audited basically your life and what you did in 2024 that you missed out. Like you missed out on all the other stuff that actually fucking lights you up. Okay, perfect. Put it in here. I want you to put what you don't want to do anymore, starting with the $10 an hour tasks or your admin. I'll give you an example. For me, I'm living in the sequel now, all right? I want to make the biggest impact I can. I want to make podcasts. I want to do guest interviews. I want to grow my social following so I can reach more people, I can impact and I can help more people. I'll tell you what I don't want to be doing. That's an absolute fucking waste of my time right now. I want to be living life. I don't want to be maintaining it, okay? I'll tell you what I don't want to do right now. I don't want to be running around getting my car pink slipped. I don't want to be lining up in the queue at Service New South Wales to get my license renewed. I don't want to be doing like errands, man. I don't want to be doing my lawns. Like people come over to my house and go, Doze, that fucking lawn's amazing. I go, yeah, try and find my lawnmower. Don't have one. I don't spend my weekends at the hardware store looking for nails to like do my handyman stuff around the house. I've got a handyman, right? It's like, what are the things I don't want to do? Because I want to be living my life. I don't want to be fucking maintaining it. That's where I'm at. The car gets washed. The boat gets washed. I mean, if we get to the point where this year, I've put on my list this year, I want to spend more time on the boat. I'll tell you what I hate doing is getting the boat down to the ramp, putting it into the water, retrieving it, doing all that kind of thing, right? Do you know what I'd love to do? And this is why I'm saying permission to dream. I want you to have the main character energy. We had a Gold Coast retreat recently where, 30 of our top studio owners flew in and one of the biggest things, the most uplifting things we did was I gave them all permission to dream, permission to be main character energy. And main character energy for me, I would love this, is I don't want to put the boat in and take the boat out because I kind of find that stressful. I'm not that great at it. I'll tell you what I want to do. I just want to walk down to the wharf, walk off the wharf onto the boat. There's already a picnic box in there. My meal prep's in there. Kids are happy. Wife's happy. We can have an amazing day, bring it back, leave it there, hang out in the yacht club while my friend, someone that I employ, does the rest. That's what I don't want to do. So I know that might be silly to some of you guys. I'm using that as an example because like my mentors, people that I look up to, they've got, house managers, they've got EAs, they've got people for everything because they want to spend 80% of their life in their green zone, enjoying life. I'm going to be a bit harsh here. You guys know I love you, okay? Some of you are too fucking chicken shit to write that down and to have the conversation with someone. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to be that guy that has your back and I'm going to help you do this. So decide what your terms are. Maybe you start by saying, I don't want to work weekends anymore. Great. Write it down. For me, no meeting Fridays. Write that down. I don't want to take any meetings before 11 o'clock. That's one of my things. From when I wake up to 11 o'clock is when I do my deep work time, my creative time. That's when I do my time. That's when I go to the gym, all that kind of stuff, right? So I write that down. No meetings before 11 o'clock. Whatever that is for you right now, and I relate back to that season's point, maybe you're in a season right now where your terms look a little bit different than ultimately where you will be later on. That's okay. Just write it down, Okay, so number one, it's okay to have seasons. Number two, audit your schedule. Number three, write your not to-do list and decide what your terms are, right? When you want to work, how many holidays you want to have this year, all those things. So your not to-do list and also what you want to do this year. And number four, I know what's happening right now because I know you guys are hard workers. You're high performers. You think it's all on you. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to remove the guilt. I feel guilty every time I'm about to book the hotel for my 3-night retreat. And in 2024, I actually failed myself and I didn't do the 3 retreats. I think I got 1, but I didn't do the 3. And so when my wife and I sat down and we mapped out our entire 2025 and I opened up to her and I said, well, to be honest, like I kind of feel guilty when I go away. And she goes, why? I go, well, because I leave you with the 3 kids and I want to make sure that, have your time while I have my time. I don't want to do it, instead of you. I want to make sure we're doing this together and we're doing what lights us up, like independently and then together. And she goes, don't feel guilty. Like, let's just book it in advance so we know and then we can get the help around it. And the agreement was that we would do it on days that Michelle doesn't have her PT session. So it means that she could still do her things, what's important to her, while I do what's important to me. Boom. That unlocked everything for me. Honestly, it felt like I lost another 10 kilos. So at this point, I know you guys are going to feel guilty, right? I've met so many of you. What is going to help you not feel guilty about setting your life on your terms is having agreements in place with the people that you care about, the people that might be impacted by some of these decisions. I would rather you get pre-agreement than think you needed to get permission. You're going to feel so much better. You're going to live the moment. You're going to be in the moment. If that agreement is you want to take 2 holidays a year, right? You're going to really enjoy those holidays. You're not going to feel guilty about those holidays. So I want you to preload it. I want you to preload it and have those pre-agreements with the people that you care about that might be either impacted by this, not impacted, even that sounds a bit negative, but that might involve others. I want you to have those pre-agreements. We struggled with this at the start as well. Like, when I came out of corporate world and then went into owning my own business over here, it was a struggle. Like Michelle and I, it took ages for us to adjust to actually just me being around the house while Michelle was on mat leave with our firstborn. And so I'd be trying to get in deep work, trying to figure out business. And Michelle was like, can you pass me the nappy? And I'm like, of course I can. And again, I feel guilty because obviously it's a newborn and all that kind of stuff. But can you go to the baby store and get more of this? Can you get this? Can you get this? And she wasn't doing the wrong thing. It was tough for her as well. But the trick is, I used to keep saying, babe, I'm not retired. Like I'm trying to grow a business that I don't fucking understand. Like what would you do if I was working? Well, it's easier if you weren't in the house. It's like, okay, that I understand that now because it's like he's there. And if a kid's like slipped over in the bathroom and now they're crying, of course I'm going to help, but it's hard to get in the zone. So I know this is the chaos that it feels sometimes having a business at home as well. So the agreement was it would be easier if I wasn't actually working from home at that time. This was before I had the home studio. So I would head out and actually work from the library. Real talk. I'd work from the library. I'd work from RSL clubs. I would work from like cafes. I'd just work from anywhere else to get into my deep work. And it was probably not fair for Michelle with a newborn to try and like quiet the house while I needed to get into deep work. And so that made things a lot better. And then obviously we've evolved since then. But yeah, we struggled with that at the start. The biggest thing that I can ask you to do is set expectations and get pre-agreements. So you don't have to ask for permission and you don't need to feel guilty. So the first idea was around seasons. The second idea was around auditing your schedule. The third idea was around having a not to-do list and, full permission to have a want list, want to do more time doing the things that you actually love. The fourth thing is to remove the guilt with agreements and preload your year, ideally. Now, the fifth idea is I want you to decide what your highest priorities are, and I'm giving you full permission to say no to everything else. It's okay. Say no to everything else. So many times I see studio owners and they're not living in that main character energy, and it's because they're doing a lot of things that they think they should do. I'll tell you one of the words I fucking hate is should. Should. Who says you should? Who's put this rule in front of you? Should. We think there's the expectations on us from, our parents, our spouses, our partners, our business partners, like all these shoulds. I'm telling you, if you're living in the should, it's a dangerous place to be. So instead, I would encourage you to, from the point before, is to set those expectations and to get pre-agreements and then learn how to gracefully and with kindness saying no. And then eventually, guess what? People are going to stop asking. So right now, no one asks me to go to the pub to catch up anymore. They know if they want to catch up, they're either coming with me on a walk or they're working out with me. No one asks me to go to the races on the weekend and get fucking blind on the weekend. I'm not that guy, Okay? Happy for you. I'm not that guy. You want to catch up? Let's go for a run. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for coffee. Let's do those things. Decide what your highest priorities are and say no to other things. I'm very grateful that since the podcast, I get asked a lot to jump on other people's podcasts, and I enjoy doing some of those things. I get asked to catch up with people who just want to have a chat. I know one of my mentors does 50 keynotes a year. 50 keynotes a year. He loves them and he's great at it, okay? So when he gets an invite to do another keynote, if he's already maxed out of that 50, what he does when he responds, he goes, thank you so much for the invite. This year's already booked out for my 50 that I've already got a quota for 50. So check back in next year and we see if we can fit you in the calendar next year. So it's like learning how to say no gracefully. You don't need to be a prick about it. So again, I should be able to look at your calendar, like I'll show you my calendar, and you should be able to see what's important for me. And I should be able to see what's important for you. And everything else, I'm going to ask you to learn how to say no gracefully. That's going to become easier because in the previous idea, you've got the pre-agreements and you set expectations with yourself and with others early. Now, the sixth idea is this. To do great things, we must do fewer things. So we've done some work on setting terms. I want you to remember that quote when you set your goals this year. To do great things, we must do fewer things. There's a story that I heard about Warren Buffett and his pilot. Warren asked his pilot one day, what are your goals for this year? And the pilot had 25 goals. So Warren said, okay, let me hit these 25 goals. And then Warren goes, what are the 5 that you really want to do this year, that if you did that, you would be absolutely ecstatic with yourself? And then the pilot circled the 5 most important one. And then Warren goes, okay, great. Out of those 5, what is your number one that if you just did that this year, you would still be ecstatic? And then the pilot circled 1 of the 5. And Warren goes, promise me something. You won't touch any of those other goals until you tick that one off. Radical prioritization. Like the folklore around Steve Jobs, how diligent he was with prioritizing the resources at Apple to release the iPod, then to release the phone, then to release the watch. Like this guy changed the world. Could you imagine every single employee pushing in one direction to release one product? To do great things, we must do fewer things. So when you write your list of goals this year, if you 80-20'd it and then 80-20'd it again, there's probably one that if you just did that one thing, everything you want in life is on the other side of that one domino falling that would drop all the other dominoes. So identify what that one priority is. In fact, the original word was priority, singular. Somehow along the way, we turned it into a fucking plural. And I think that is a classic case of where we've ended up as a human race. So what is that one thing? And then I want you to decide to spend the first 90 minutes of every single day violently attacking it. I want you to get angry. I want you to violently attack it. So for instance, mine is to grow my reach. This is why I'm doing the podcast. This is why I've hired Matt Purcell. This is why I've got consultants all around me helping me grow effectively my Instagram audience. I want to get to 10K on my Instagram audience. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, it's important for me because I want to build my reach and I want to make the biggest impact I can out there. And commercially, we've got a whole chat team off the back of it. It feeds our revenue engine and it's how we get to know you guys. It's how we get to meet you guys. It's how we get to have the opportunity to work with you guys as well. I've got 11 other things on the list. But really, if you have to push me on it, everything that I want to be able to do that really means a lot to me since the heart attack especially is on the other side of having more impact. So that's what I'm focusing on. So every single morning when I wake up, drink my coffee, waiting for that to kick in before I go to the gym, I'm looking at my dashboards. I'm looking at the optics of how many followers we got yesterday. I'm looking at how many chats that we opened. I'm looking at what's in the content pipeline. I'm looking at the analytics. And then I'm also thinking about what other content to release out there, content ideas. I'm researching other content. It's all I'm thinking about. And once I've done that 90 minutes, then I go to the gym and work on the other thing that's most important to me, which is Project Dozer 2.0, which you guys have seen it on Instagram, is my first attempt at it. Well, not attempt. I'm going to take that out of my language. Is Project Visible Ads, right? So that's what I'm working on right now because that's what I said to myself that I would do. In fact, there's a whole episode around this. I've told my academy this. I've completely just assumed that you guys knew that story. I'll do another episode about the achievement roadmap, which is amazing. I've already done the training on this. In fact, if you want early access to this training about how to actually turn your vision into reality, come over to Instagram, follow me at hey.dozer, and then send me a message, achievement. And I'll send you private training that I did with my top academy members that I did at the Gold Coast Live, and then by popular demand, I had to do a catch-up session with the rest of my academy that wasn't there because everyone heard about this training session. And what happened was fucking spooky. Like, this is how powerful it is. It was taught to me by Dan Martell, and it was taught to him by Ed Milet. So they've given me permission to teach you guys, but I'm going to have this as a secret training, not necessarily as an episode of the podcast. Okay, so head over to Instagram, follow me at hey.doza, and message me achievement, and I'll send it over to you. But the sixth idea is, as you set your terms here for this year, and hopefully you're sitting on a deck somewhere, or maybe you've listened to this episode and we're already halfway through the year, set terms with yourself. The sixth thing is, to do great things, we must do fewer things. If it was good enough for Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs, it's good enough for you, dude. Right? What is the number one thing? And then once you identify what that number one priority is, I want you to attack it for the first 90 minutes of every single fucking day. Not some days, right? I want you to decide to go all in. And that means every day until it's not the issue anymore, until it's not your constraint anymore. And the seventh thing is, and this is what I'm so strong on with everyone in my academy, that's why we have the 5 non-negotiables, is be true to yourself. I want to be, even if I'm the only person in your world that's giving you a big dozer hug right now, be true to yourself, okay? You are allowed to want whatever the fuck you want. Like, I might be the only person that's here to tell you, dude, write it down, be true to yourself. Because if you live your life in alignment, by design, with absolute intention, you're going to be so much more happier in life. You're going to love life a lot more. You're going to love your business a lot more because it's how you've designed it. You know, previous version of Geronimo, I fucking hated it. Because it kind of wasn't my design. I was kind of looking at what everyone else did, and I'd borrow this, borrow that. And now we do things the way we do it, and I fucking love it. But I'll tell you one thing. Once you've worked out what your goals are and what your terms are, what I want you to do is bring it back down to your daily standards, right? What are the 5 non-negotiables that you need to do every single day so that if you just did those, it will make achieving your goals on your terms inevitable. And then once you do that, you've got to make a promise to yourself that you're going to do this, and you're going to promise me that you're going to do this. There is a stat that shows us that the people who keep promises with themselves experience a 40% uplift in life satisfaction, meaning something fucking remarkable happens when you keep promises to yourself. I think that self-confidence, self-belief, like you living in absolute alignment, is the byproduct of you keeping promises with yourself, particularly when no one's looking, particularly when you don't want to do it. I think Huberman says there's something that actually happens in the brain when that happens, when you continue to keep promises with yourself. By contrast, the opposite happens too. If you consistently let yourself down because you didn't go to the gym that day, you didn't open chats that day, you didn't call those leads that day, you start to fall into that habit as well. So what I'm going to ask you to do is be true to yourself, right? Like the goals that you write on your terms are going to feel so much more you because you've been true to yourself, and then bring it back down to a daily standard. And then when you've got your daily standards and non-negotiables, you keep promises to yourself. So for me, to get down to a visible 6-pack, right, which is like, there's a whole story around that. And again, follow me at hey.doza, send me achievement, and you'll understand what that story is. And I'll run you through the training, the most powerful training on that, right? But, you know, the promises that I had to myself on that was, I've got to stay on meal plan. I've got to sweat every day. I've got to hit my 200 grams of protein every single day. And I've got to get my 10,000 steps every single day, right? That's my daily standard. So when I went to Bali recently and took the team to Bali, I was smuggling fucking protein powders into the country. We spent 2 hours on the first night walking around a Balinese supermarket looking for gluten-free oats and fucking maple syrup and raisins, trying to kind of do the meal plan over there. And I came back leaner. Bro, do you know, I've never gone on holidays and come back leaner. Like, my favorite word is buffet. By the way, when I'm back on the refeed, if you guys like buffets, let's go to a buffet. But anyway, keeping promises to yourself, you're going to enjoy life a lot more. It's science, personal integrity, self-confidence, self-worth. So I want you to design your personal standards, make them your non-negotiables, and fucking stick to them. All right, 100% say do. If there's nothing else that you do this year, regardless of what goals you hit, 100% say do. You're going to stick to your daily standards. So the 7 ideas that we just went through is, it's okay to have seasons. I'm going to audit your schedule and time. You're going to identify what things you want to be doing, what you don't want to be doing, and then put them down to a list of the not to do list and the want to do list. And then you're going to remove the guilt by pre-loading your agreements, preload your calendar for next year, and set expectations with the people around you. So that in number 5, because you've decided what your highest priorities are, you can say no to things gracefully, with kindness, and not piss anyone off and not have the guilt around it. And then in number 6, you've decided that to do great things, we must do fewer things. So you've decided on your list of things, what is the number one goal? What is the number one priority for you in 2025 or any year that you are going to attack for the first 90 minutes of the day, because if you unlock that one, everything you want is on the other side of that. That's the first domino that needs to fall. And if you want a little bit more about it, achievement and like setting the goals and how to do that properly, follow me at hey.dozer and just message me achievement and I'll send you the framework that we send, most powerful thing that we do with our private clients. And number 7 is you're going to be true to yourself. You're going to live in absolute alignment. You're going to keep promises with yourself because you've distilled everything down to your daily standards and you never miss your daily standards. Team, all of this is all around living life intentionally. That's what I want for you for 2025 or any other year. Because in 2025, you're either going to live this life by design and a design that you've designed, or by default. It'll just be the life you get. And I don't want you to get into burnout. I don't want you to hate your business this year. I don't want you to fucking hate this Frankenstein of life that you've created. I want the opposite for you. So I encourage you on this New Year's Day or whenever you get to this episode, design a life on your terms. Design the business on your terms and hold yourself true to them. Your life satisfaction will skyrocket. Your business will skyrocket. How you show up in the world will skyrocket. Your self-confidence will skyrocket. And therefore what's going to happen is your self-worth will skyrocket. And I can tell you right now, you'll never earn $1 more than you think you're worth. So if you want to increase your earnings, increase your self-worth. Start that by keeping promises to yourself. And the biggest thing I want you to realize, just to circle back on the whole work-life balance thing, and I'm going to leave you with this. The moment you realize work-life balance isn't about the relationship between you and your work, but actually between you and your true self, that's when you're going to unlock a next level for you. And the bonus one, number 8, the bonus one is get into an audit loop. That's why we do Separation Sundays, right? Which you guys know all about by now. Separation Sundays, super important. You watch me on Sundays every single week on my Instagram. I post about it. I give you the free template. Come over, follow me at hey.dozer, and I'll give you that free template if you message me Sundays. With that, team, Happy New Year. Let's have an amazing year that we've designed on our terms. Bye.